Good evening, my name is Jeffrey Lashley, and this is the final week of FTH 202 Revolvers. It's week 5. This is the cleared pistol that I'll be working with today, so show you that it is not loaded. My name is Jeffrey Lashley, September 15th, 2024, and the first thing we'll discuss is the health of the revolver. So the first thing that we would do is to make sure, the cycle of operation, everything is working as advertised. So what I would do is check, the action, make sure that the trigger and the hammer come back. And as I've taken off the side plate, I would be checking out. Now, granted, if I'm just checking the overall health of it, I've received this from a customer, I wouldn't have taken this apart yet. So I would just check the overall stability of the cylinder. I would check the crown. You could look down the barrel once the cylinder was open, and check and see the overall health of the barrel. I would check the cylinder, make sure that it is rotating freely. And basically checking any fasteners. You could fire it. You could check, to make sure that all pieces are moving properly. The hammer, the transfer bar is moving up and down. And then you could also check the health of, check with no-go gauges, go gauges, and inspect the cylinder, make sure the chamber locks, checking the timing when pulling the trigger in double action, checking to make sure that it is the hammer comes back in single action, and like I said, check the bore for damage. Moving on to my 10 learning experiences. The first one is the history of the revolver. I did not know that that the history was so in depth. Of course, I know about flintlock going back to Civil War times, whenever the revolver, and then was invented around in the 1800s. I didn't know that there were so many. I didn't know there were so many different stages. I had no idea that the barrel on some had to be removed to reload, and moving on to creating cylinders is very instrumental in developing the revolver. Number 2 was the differences between single and double action. Big difference for repeating fire and how you operated them, and also some safety aspects of that. So being able to pull the hammer back and keep the hammer back, or having a hammer home and then pulling the trigger, made a big difference. I like learning about that. Number 3, gunsmith understanding more than operators. That's a big deal, because the operators will come in and say they have a discrepancy, and a gunsmith needs to know the cycle of operation of how revolvers work and the idea of where to start working on them. So that's the knowledge a gunsmith brings to the table is huge. Number 4 is double action components and their role. The hand, trigger, the sear, transfer bar, cylinder stop. So the most important thing that I learned here was about the transfer bar. It's very interesting, and how it operates whenever you're pulling the trigger back and it's moving up to actually being between the actual hammer and the firing pin. So that was very interesting to me, and I liked how all the parts moved in conjunction, and as in the instructions says, it's well timed machine. Number 5, the cycle of operations for revolvers. I wouldn't have guessed that there was 8 steps. I've worked around firearms all my life basically, and I understand cycle operations, but I didn't know that a revolver would kind of fall in that same aspect. So knowing each one of those and how they play a role in revolvers will help me greatly going forward. Number 6, checking twist rate on a short barrel revolver on any revolver. Being able to check the twist rate makes it easier to communicate with customers and certainly discuss the right ammunition, and also if they're getting any wear or bulges or any discrepancies in their barrel. So being able to check that will go a long way. Number 7, being able to do a trigger pull test and how to replace the mainsprings and trigger spring assemblies. That was very important, and that will come in handy. When I first tested mine, it was off the scale, so that was 12 plus pounds. And then after the springs were replaced, that reduced it down to about 10 or 11. But that was very interesting on how to do that. And I think every gunsmith, if they're going to work on any kind of gun, is going to have to learn how to change or work on trigger weights, although they may not want to, obviously, because of liabilities and whatnot. Number 8, how to find friction points and sand them down. So that was very good. Obviously, a lot of mechanical parts are going to wear on each other, and some can have some space to be reduced and then help those out to be a more precise machine. Not all can, and obviously you got to be careful about going too far, but being able to find those and find the high spots on those really was intriguing to me. And number 9 is just overall the course on how to disassemble and reassemble a revolver. It was great for me, hands-on. I really enjoyed tearing these revolvers down each week and putting them back together many times, removing the springs. It really taught me how one of the main things was when I first started, I had to watch videos and really I had a spare to kind of note how it goes back together. But now I can do it each and every time, no problem. Goes, take it apart, put it back together, and through repetition I've learned. Headspace, number 10, checking headspace on a revolver with go, no-go gauges, probably the simplest thing you could do, but I had no idea that was even a thing. Being able to talk to your customers about making sure that they have the proper headspace and that their pistol is going to be safe to use is very big. And with any of this, a gunsmith has got to be knowledgeable on how to communicate with their customers properly. And that comes in greatly and does does a service to the customer, and not only to make them safe, but also gives them a perfect machine back. So, all right. So the last thing I'll cover here is the unique features of a double action revolver, and how they went from, like I said, the original removing the barrel to replace or to reload. Now they have cylinders and a sear, a hand, transfer bar, all these intricate pieces that work perfectly in timing to, when you're pulling the trigger back or pulling the trigger, or pulling the hammer back or pulling the trigger, they move at the same time to turn the cylinder to put the next bullet in place at the correct timing in, the position that is not going to damage the bore, and fire it. It's very unique, and it makes it very quick and to get rounds down range for whatever purpose it's being used for. The transfer bar as being a safety is really unique, and makes it to where if it's dropped or any kind of damage or anything like that to the pistol, it will not fire. I find that to be one of the greatest advancements in revolvers. And also the ability to be able to, these are weatherproof basically, other than rust, but as long as you're keeping it conditionally dry, everything's going to kind of fall into place. So there's a lot of things that have been improved. The type of steel, the going from one round or using pyrite or caps to cylinders and bullets and transfer bars as a safety. Really enjoyed this course. I'm going to sign off for now, and do appreciate all the education that I'm getting out of it. Thank you.